Hey guys, for our final global learning environment, we have virtual spaces. Yay! So again, another thing that you should probably be familiar with if you've been in ISEC for a while, we do a lot of stuff virtually. And this is because, the world has become more globalized, more digital, and so not every person that we send abroad or not every person that we bring to our local committee is actually going to be super close geographically to where we're located. And so oftentimes virtual spaces and virtual contact is the only way we can actually, communicate with our EPs and facilitate some of the lead environments if they can't show up to the physical events. So yeah, basically a virtual space is learning when there is no physical touch point. You can do a lot of different stuff with this, be as creative as you want. You can have videos, you can have different materials and PDFs that you send out. You can send out quizzes every week for your EPs. It really just depends on the type of learning cycle that you have developed for your EP. When you look at an OGX team, you can really use virtual spaces when you're an EP manager and you're trying to prepare your EPs to go abroad, but maybe they haven't been able to make an OPS or they haven't been able to make any trainings or any induction. That's when you want to look at having a virtual space for them specifically. And then for ICX, a way that you can look at virtual spaces is if you're an EP buddy and you haven't had any physical contact, but you need to deliver these lead spaces, you can just give them a quick FaceTime or have something scheduled out where you can Skype or give them ready-made material so that they have a touch point while they're abroad, but so they also can get the leadership development. So the things to consider beyond that main point for OGX and ICX is that one, you're going to need to be aware of what channel you're using. Channel is basically how you get the message to someone virtually. So this can be through your email, this can be through your website, through Facebook, through Instagram, basically any tool that can give someone a message is a channel. The second thing is the message. So what is the message that you want to deliver? Is it about preparation? Is it about culture shock? Is it about, I don't know, it's up to you really. But it always should go back to the LDM because that is the point of hosting lead spaces, is that the EPs get to develop their leadership qualities through these spaces. And you also are going to want to keep it very simple because, virtual spaces are harder to keep someone's attention during maybe a physical space, right? So this is a good example of this is hosting a webinar versus creating a set of videos, right? So Luther and I could have, hosted an entire hour-long webinar about the global learning environments for you guys, but we know that you have, different schedules and not everyone can come to an hour-long webinar, so then we cut the videos up into short sections so that you can watch them on your own time. And that's, again, something, you can take that same logic and apply it to these virtual spaces with EPs. What makes the most sense for them, and how can you facilitate that? Finally, the third thing to think about beyond the channel and the message is the frequency. So how often should you host these spaces? Again, that question is entirely up to you to determine on your own, but it should go in the cycle that you developed as an ICX or an OGX team, and then it should be scheduled out so that you don't just surprise your EPs randomly and say all the stuff is required last minute, and so they can plan ahead for it and yeah, just be there and ready to use the resources that you've created. So cool! Virtual spaces, awesome!